Howdy partners, this is sendz. Remember I said or I'll hate you for it, and I'm bringing you a replay sent to me by DoW2R, and I'm absolutely excited to cast this game because it is on one of my more favorite maps for 3v3s, and also it is a replay sent to me, and I haven't gotten one of those in quite some time. So without further delay, we're going to introduce our players here. We've got WATCHIN over here as the blue Inquisitor Imperial Guard. Over here, Rasta is going to be the blue team Tech Marine, Space Marine. And DoW2R, you know him. He absolutely loves his Apothecary, blue team Space Marine Apothecary. Over here, Cardia is going to be the Tyranid Lictor Alpha, already getting into some trouble, and a familiar glitch where the flesh hook doesn't go off and it still takes the energy out. Max Power going to be the red team Space Marine, Tech Marine. And over here we're going to call him Rectangle because that's kind of what they look like, rectangles. Rectangle, the red team Imperial Guard Lord General. So we're going to jump right into this game. A lot has already happened. You got a 2-to-1 cap for red team. And over here you can see that WATCHIN really using that Inquisitor to the best of his ability. Inquisitor not that good of a hero versus more blobby units until she starts to get more war gear. Over here you can see that Max Power going for double tactical marines right off the bat. Not a bad strategy considering that this is 3 versus 3, and blobbing players will more or less try to outmass you, and that is a viable strategy. And you can see over here that Cardia with the double, actually triple Hormagaunt Brood, having some success with that, which is fairly interesting. And so you can see right now that the red team is in a significant lead as far as captured points, but the blue team is not out of this yet, not by a long shot. They still retain a good portion of the map and only needs a couple of good engagements to tip the balance back into their favor. DoW2R sitting with my favorite loadout, or build order, scouts into tactical marines, and it seems like he's going to be waiting for assault marines, perhaps. Got the shotgun upgrade for his scouts. Yep, needs to pull those back really quickly. Does so, but loses 2 models. Not too big of a deal, but kind of painful. Over here you can see Rasta doing my favorite build order, except he's using the Tech Marine. And WATCHIN trying to make his engagements as mostly worthwhile as he can possibly do so. Having a bit of a hard time. Will this Inquisitor get out of there? Ooh, that's close. 9 HP. Wow. Having the Holy Brazier upgrade that allows her to do basically a little spout of flamethrower and up at one spot, and gets a purification grenade. That was so sexy in the middle of all those Hormagaunts and Termagants and the Dat Lictor, doing a ton of damage. And that's what I'm talking about, guys. The Apothecary is a good hero if you know how to use him right and you do things like that. Definitely a powerful hero. It's just, I feel that the other two are a little bit better of a choice. But of course DoW2R just living to prove me wrong, and I am completely okay with that. Oh dear God, assault marines jumping in there, units getting suppressed. Not sure why he decided to pull out after he realized all of the units were suppressed. He did take a model loss though, and that is hard to, you know, deal with as Space Marines. You generally don't want to lose any models before you retreat, but sometimes preemptive retreating can cause you more harm than it does you good. Setup team over here, will they be able to set up? And yeah, they do suppress the enemy instantly, but they're going to get tied up in melee, and those units need to GTFO. They do. They're going to be fine. And double Tarantula turret over here from Rasta. Kind of a cheesy play, but you know what? If it works for you, all the more to you. You know, all the more power to you. And we're going to see what this Inquisitor... She's just going to come over and cap both of these turrets, focusing down that relay beacon. And the Inquisitor might go down if she's not careful. Her ally is definitely keeping her alive in this. Oh, ow, not good. Not good, max power. Lost a squad of TAC Marines, if I'm not mistaken. And that is pretty bad, especially with as few units as he already has right now on the field. That teleporter relay is going to go down, and that was definitely a waste of resources. So, as you could probably guess, max power is definitely far behind. War gear goes, still only the Holy Brazier. Artificer armor, a good choice. Nothing. The Purifier grenades and the Sanguine's Chainsword, an excellent choice for the Apothecary. And we see a Barbed Strangler and another squad wipe. So many squad wipes in this game from the red team. It very poor play, I would say, by most of the red team. And then loses the Barbed Strangle Warriors. The only thing I guess I can say right here is you've got to know when to retreat your units. Losing another squad, just I can't watch that Tyranid player anymore. Gulf, you're making him look bad, really bad. You are raffle stomping the crap out of that guy. Good job though. You got a setup team, heavy weapons team. I'm sorry, multi-las to protect their rear. Dropping a Inferno's, or we're gonna call it an Inferno bomb because I don't know what else it is called. Getting behind those guys. Should have probably thrown a retreat grenade. Could have wiped that whole squad, but from experiences before, if you're not comfortable with doing that, don't do it, because I have literally made myself lose games by trying to do retreat grenades and end up blowing up myself. So, lesson learned. And a lot of tier 1 stuff in this game right now. Olive Blue team going to tier 2. Magan Raw, I mean, doing an excellent job this game. Rasta doing a fairly good job as well in being cost efficient. And Gulf 2-1, of course, those purification vials, just absolutely owning the Tyranid player. He has nothing, and it's because you owned him. You know it is. So, anyway, breaking out a Razorback over here. It's kind of left at home. I know sometimes we too busy focusing on everything else, and we aren't aware that units come out, especially with as hectic as 3 versus 3 games go. You cannot pay attention to it all. And you could see that Rectangle over here pretty much carrying his team. The only one, I think, that has all of the squads that he built in the beginning and has managed to keep them alive. Microing back, using the Lord General's med kit to heal that squad, dropping a grenade in the middle of those guardsmen. Those guardsmen are going to leave. They're going to get out of there just fine, and the rest of their guardsmen buddies going to follow in suit. Guardsmen particularly weak against flame template weapons, but the problem with it is getting close to them. Guardsmen are very good at putting down range fire, believe it or not. I mean, they're very bad at melee, and they're very squishy, but they can shoot you to pieces, no problem whatsoever. Another poor engagement here from Max Power. Rasta and DoW2R just not really giving him any breaks whatsoever. Or maybe that was just Rasta. Really seems like he's got more units than showing, but no matter. Magan Ra, I guess we stopped paying attention to him for a little while, and looks like he lost and wiped almost all of his units, and if he's not careful, going to quickly lose that Sentinel as well. You can see over here the Assault Marines jumping in on those Termagants and wailing on them, and there goes that squad again. And there's I'm gonna, who wants to bet that that squad's gonna go down? I bet. Ah, I win. You guys owe me money. And that Max Power finally getting up enough units to just point, click, A move, and shoot everything herp derp to victory. And putting down a lot of range fire. Has sergeants on every last one of these squads, and I'm guessing that's because he's worried about the Assault Marines. But not gonna do him really any good when it comes to that Suppression Devastator team and that Razorback. That Apothecary should probably get an armor upgrade. Charge into those guys and... oh, Jesus. What were you doing? What were you doing, Magan Ra? Why? Just why? Losing everything. I like this. Look at that. If you pay attention, both of the players that have absolutely nothing are on the tops of their teams across from each other. It's like they were meant to be. Except not really. The Tech Marine coming over here and using his melt-a-gun to take out that Chimera. That's gonna put Rectangle in a really bad spot. But you see how much damage those plasma guns just do downrange to those Assault Marines. And even though he's bleeding models pretty heavily, you know, he's still doing quite a lot of damage. So, you know, you take out 6 Guardsmen models, and you take out 1 Tactical Marine or 1 Assault Marine, and you actually come up even. So, something to keep in mind. Lord General coming out here, he has the Sniper Rifle, and that is a good weapon to have. It very anti-infantry, like, I don't know. I think it might actually do light damage to armored or vehicle armor. But you can see, just watch how much damage that this Lord General actually does to those TAC Marines. And they've got the missile pod upgrade, so not going to be very effective against the Lord General at all. Or infantry, for that matter. Back over here, trying to pay attention. We've got... oh, no. Well, okay. Triple missile pod sergeant upgraded TAC Marines, and oh, he's about to have the sergeant back on for that squad. And no doubt this is to contemplate for the armor that has been rolling out on the field. And right now, this is, yeah, you see Gulf is getting a answer to that, and his answer is Plasma Cannon Devastators. These guys are not going to be able to get anywhere near this squad before they get shot, and that, with as much damage as that thing does, you know, he'll take out one model, two model, bleed him dry of requisition fairly easily, and force those to retreat and take back map control wherever they can. Over here you can see that Rectangle is engaging Magan Ra, the, you know, lower end player of their team, forcing back those stormtroopers. Glad he actually remembered to retreat them. Trying to bust out some Ogrins. Rasta going for tier 3. Max Power trying to pull out a Desperation Dreadnought. Not going to go very well unless he makes sure to couple that with these tactical Marines with the missile pod. And you can see that, yep, he's got the Devastator squad to keep them pinned, and he's got the Plasma Cannon Devastators there to dish out the damage to force them to retreat and kill the models, and he's got the Razorback right next to him should they need to reinforce or anything like that, along with the Apothecary sitting back behind them, offering the healing aura that he has, and that really makes quite a big difference. So there's virtually nothing right now that Max Power can do about this scenario. Even has Missile Pod Tactical Marines to deal with that Dreadnought, along with the fact that he could easily turn this into a las cannon or get the advanced targeting, which is very good, by the way. I would definitely suggest trying it. Right now you can see over here the Lord General busting out his Melt-A-Gun, engaging this Predator tank. Not something that I think DoW2R should let happen. Should definitely get that Predator tank away from that Lord General. But doing a good amount of damage to those guardsmen. But again, if he's not careful, that Predator tank will go down, and it'll be mostly all for naught. Finally, back here, getting some support from that Razorback. Razorback does quite a bit of damage, but it doesn't really matter anymore at this point. The points are now running out for the red team, and they even busted out a Swarm Lord. Not much they were going to get done there. I mean, the blue team could have danced around it all day, if not absolutely crushed it fairly soon. Magan Ra not really doing that great towards the middle of the game, but did pretty good in the early stages of the game. Not sure why he fumbled it so hard towards the middle of the game. Rasta over here playing fairly conservative. I mean, you can tell that he's more of a micro player as opposed to a macro player, with all of those resources stocked up, barely spending any at all, using his units to the best of their ability, and that is a commendable quality about someone. If you can get by on the units that you have now, you don't really need to purchase more units, and you can save that money for a rainy day situation, which could have gone into 2 Dreadnoughts, 2 Predator tanks, or maybe a Land Raider Redeemer or something to help deal with this Dreadnought and this Swarm Lord that came out onto a field. So definitely a interesting and smart play from Rasta here. And of course DoW2R playing his usual strategic manners, all using those purification vials to the best of his ability, and he knows that I want to try these so bad, but I'm so bad with the Apothecary, I'm almost afraid to actually try. But also getting the Sanguine Chainsword, Blood Angel's Homage, awesome weapon, makes him a lot tankier, and I think it also gives him power melee, which is very, very, very good. I think, does it up his DPS? I think so. Not entirely sure. I'd have to look at the numbers. Over here, I mean, Cardia, I really don't know what to say. Had sound unit strategies, got good unit compositions, but never retreated, and you cannot play this game like that. You need to retreat sometime. I mean, everyone always kind of feels like when you retreat, it's like tucking your tail between your legs and heading home. But really, you need to live to fight another day, find a better position, re-engage, and make it more favorable for you. Because if you just waste your units and lose them, then that's all going to be for naught, and you could end up losing because of that, regardless of your talent. Max power, interesting strategy, but I feel like a lot of his strategies were overcommitted. These triple missile pod tacticals, that's absolutely unnecessary to like an extreme. Missile pod tacticals in the first place are something that I do not fairly advocate. It is a good thing to have. It does a ton of damage. It does not snare, and you can fire it on the move, which makes it useful against things like Predator tanks, but it is quite expensive. It's somewhere around like 80 requisition, 30 power, and it's not like War Gear. You have to pay to change it back to whatever you had before, say it whether it was the plasma gun or the flamethrower. So that's also a bit of a pain. It's not very good versus infantry. I think, it's okay versus infantry that are larger, kind of like tactical marines and Terminators and whatnot, but other than that, it's really not worth it. And then busting out with this Dreadnought, I understand why. I feel like he could have gone for that a lot earlier, given how much resources he has. Maybe getting caught up in the game, not really paying attention to what resources he has. I know I do, and that's a very hard thing about 3 versus 3. There's so many things going on. You have to be so vigilant of every last thing, and you can fumble things just based off of being overwhelmed by how much is actually going on. And Rectangle here, again, everyone floated a lot of resources this entire game. I mean, Magen Ra, you could see right there, even though he doesn't have much requisition or much red, he has a fuck ton, a metric fuck ton of power stored up, and definitely could have spent that into a more power-heavy unit, like maybe teching up and getting a Lehman Russ or even a Baneblade. I mean, could have definitely benefited him. And let this be an example to you guys. Sometimes when you're banking this much resources, I mean, there are times where you're tempted to just spend it on something you don't even need, and that can hurt you. But if you let it stack up to this much, you're doing something wrong. I mean, I've noticed, like, even in my gameplays, if I've let my requisition hit higher than 800 or 1000, that I am really just messing around, and I really, really need to spend it on something that could be useful to me. If you're not sure what to buy and you're not sure what your enemy is going to get and you have an excess amount of resource, tech up. Go to tier 3. The worst case scenario, they come out with something, you get caught a little bit off guard, and then you correct the situation later. But yeah, Rectangle player was probably, I think, the MVP for the red team. Definitely keeping his units alive as much as possible, and whenever you're getting 3 versus 1, almost sometimes it seems like, or 3 versus 2, it can be especially difficult with guardsmen to keep them alive. I think, maybe getting Ogrins out, or maybe getting some Catachans to counteract those assault marines would have been probably a more appropriate response to what was going on to him mostly this game. And then maybe getting some stormtroopers on top of that assault kit, or one with as many space marines were on the field Hell, even the Melta-Kit, Meltagun upgrade would have done them very well. Space Marines do eat it in the face quite a bit from Meltaguns. And I would like to probably find a gameplay that showcases that. And show you guys. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about this game. Again, if you've got replays, go ahead and send them to me down below. Oh, so close. Almost made it through an entire commentary without my dogs making a noise. Yeah.
Hey, that guy Don is here. You want me to let him in for the door?
Yeah, sure. Anyway, this is I Sincerely Remember Outside, or I'll hate you for it, and I'll catch you partners later.